Hello everybody, I have not posted all summer, so let's talk about what I read. We're gonna get started with June, and I have none of the books that I read in June with me right now physically. So first I read Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Seanan McGuire and Beneath the Sugar Sky by Seanan McGuire, so that is the second and third book in the, what's it called? The Wayward Children series, which if you don't know what that is, it's basically they're novellas, they're really short, and there's a bunch of them, and she's still putting them out, and it's about kids who like go through these portals to other worlds, and some of the books take place in Eleanor's Home for Wayward Children, where these kids are kind of being rehabilitated back into normal life, sort of, and some of them take place in fantasy worlds. It's sort of hard to explain. I've only read the first three so far. I do want to continue, but they're not super grabbing my attention. They're all kind of middle of the road reads for me. But Down Among the Sticks and Bones has definitely been my favorite. It's sort of a little Frankenstein, Dracula mixture retelling. So then I read March, just the first one, which is by John Lewis, but like in collaboration with a couple other people, and it is essentially a graphic novel about the civil rights movement, and it was great, and I really have nothing more to say about it. I took a class on comic books, so there's a couple. I didn't read every comic book I was supposed to read, I'll admit it, but there is a couple. Then we'll just get this out of the way. I reread the Harry Potter series again, as I like to do every summer, and it was great again, and Half-Blood Prince is still my favorite book again. Oh, and J.K. Rowling is still awful. Okay, I also read Maus, both volume 1 and 2, which, if you somehow don't know what Maus is, it is a graphic novel that tells the story of the author Art Spiegelman's father and his mother's time in Auschwitz, and that's kind of what the second book focuses on. The first book focuses more on their time hiding, but it's also way more than that. It's a lot about relationships between mother and son, and father and son, and husband and wife, and it's about prejudices, and it's a lot of things, and it was also very good, and that's really all I have to say about it. Okay, and that is all I read in June. So that was 12 books in June, so it was a lot, but like it was all the Harry Potter series, so it doesn't really matter. Then my first book I have in person was Helter Skelter. Oh god. I read Helter Skelter, and this took me forever to read because I was highlighting so much and doing these little annotations. And by the way, these annotations, what they mean, they're just like characters, like when characters first come up, that's what these annotations are. Not characters, that sounds bad, they're real people, but like the people within this story, whenever they're first introduced, I flag them. There's a lot of people to keep track of. This takes place over a long amount of time. There's a lot of information to keep track of. This book is a lot, but I thought it was good. I thought it was very interesting. I obviously knew about the Manson murders. I knew like how they went down and everything, but I didn't know the ins and outs and like how they got caught and everything about the trial. So that was really interesting. I also just find trial and court and all that stuff so fascinating. So I do think that I want to look up more like court-based books, because I did find this quite interesting. Next, I read The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, which was perfect to get me off of Harry Potter, because here's the thing, I love Harry Potter, but every time I read it I get depressed because I'm not in the wizarding world, and I also go into a little reading slump, as you will see, because this is our third to last book. This is the season that I've read the most, and yet this is probably going to be the shortest video thanks to the Harry Potter series. And to be fair, it was also, I was just getting really busy in my life, and I still am, so it's that time of year. The Night Circus was a great kind of transition off of Harry Potter, because I also read it using the audiobook and the physical version, and the audiobook is read by Jim Dale, who reads Harry Potter. So that was nice, and it also just has a very like similar whimsical vibe. Harry Potter is more like fun, friends, and The Night Circus is more like prose and thinking about things and concepts. I can't even really describe The Night Circus. It was an absolutely beautiful, phenomenal book. I gave it 5 stars. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. It was just so beautiful, and I still think about it, and that is the staple of like a really good book, is that you're still thinking about it, and it's been a while since you read it, especially if you're reading things after that and you're still thinking about it. That's a good book. Or it was a really bad book, or it was a really weird book. Anyways, after the Night Circus, finishing off July, I read Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I liked it. It was cute. That is a bent page. That's going to annoy me. Oh, I remember why it's bent, because my copy's fucked up. Look at this. Yeah, that's why it was bent. Okay, it was good. I don't know. I liked Sam. I just pictured him as Sam the doctor from New Girl, because I was also rewatching the part of New Girl with Sam in it. So that was really nice, because I think Sam from New Girl is so sexy. Like does he look like a Muppet a little bit? Yeah, he does. And yet I find him sexy. I don't know what it is. So that finishes off July. And then in August, I read one book. I was so busy in August, and I read one book, and it was The Mistake by Elle Kennedy. These books are fun. I never want to I never really want to shit on books in general, just because I know each book does a different thing for a different person. These books are fun. I don't think that this genre hits me like it hits a lot of other people, and that's okay. I think a lot of other people read books like this and are like, the writing is beautiful and it made me cry and stuff like that. I don't get emotionally invested. I read these as kind of like, I don't know, a little, well, not that I'm saying this is like Wattpad level, and I'm also not saying books on Wattpad are bad. I'm just saying, like, well, I do think this has Wattpad writing, but that's okay. I think these books are just like, they're fun, they're really quick to get through, and they're okay. And that's about it. I didn't like this main character. She really annoyed me. I just really don't like quirky girls. Like, if you're just quirky, like, if that's just who you are, that's fine, because it's not annoying. But when it's like, sorry, I babble, like, it just pisses me off. And I don't, if I, how do I say this? If I never read about, sticking up your boyfriends again, and it'll still be too many times. I didn't want to read about that. I generally don't really like reading sex scenes. I don't know, they just kind of like cringe me out, because I'm not in the mood. Like, I'm just, especially because I like to read in public too, or like listen to audiobooks. Delta just uses the worst words, and this is something Elle Kennedy does that bothers me so much, is she calls, you know, the down there the sex, and that bothers me so much. Oh, that's such ugly lighting. Well, this whole thing is ugly lighting. Anyways, that bothers me so much when authors call it the sex. Like, just call it a fucking vagina. So anyways, that was The Mistake. I did think that there were a couple times where I was like, damn, okay, this is dealing with like the things with Logan's dad really well. But even then I felt like this girl, what's her name, Grace, just kept like making it about herself a lot of the times. Not to him, but in her own head. And I was like, dude, it's not about you. So let's just like reel it in. I did like seeing a girl like just reject a guy over and over. I thought that was great. And I liked that it wasn't like, she wasn't doing it to be like, oh, I want to like get his attention, which like if you do that, that's fine. Like, I know how to play that game too. We all get it, right? But I like that genuinely through her POVs you could see she was just like, I'm fucking done with this guy, like what the fuck, go away. Which then also I'm like, well, if I felt that about a guy, I'd be really annoyed if he kept like trying to ask me out and I kept saying no. I have really mixed feelings on this book, and I didn't think that I did until I started talking just now, and apparently I do. So here are the books I read this summer, plus like a bunch of others.